Hi, Mark here. Monday, May the 11th, 7:37 a.m. Eastern, 11:37 a.m. GMT. Getting ready for the US session to get underway. Let's have a look how the markets are shaping up this morning. US dollar index gap higher to start the new week and hasn't really done a lot since then. Tried a bit higher, lower. I've got support at 97.79. I've got resistance at 98.02. That's a tight, narrow range for now going into the US Open. We'll see whether sellers can add to this downtrend that we saw on Friday. They push lower, break below this support level, trade below the 98, or if buyers are going to step in, bounce up off this support and look to test 98.02 resistance and then look up to the descending trend line. Do have a descending triangle shaping up at this point, which is a bearish sign. So weak US dollar, certainly the buyers tilted to the downside going into the US Open. Let's have a look at the S&P. We're looking at the futures market for now, almost 2 hours till Wall Street opens up. And there you can see demand for US equities continuing, index sitting at those record high levels again. I've got a support at 7,398. I've got resistance over the 7,400 level, 7,418. We'll see whether demand for equities continues once the US session gets underway, and then once Wall Street opens up. Strong uptrend right now, and at this point, sellers haven't yet stepped in. Let's have a look at gold. Gold gapped a little lower to start the week, sitting 4,675 for now. Tight range, 4,652 is our support, and 4,706 the resistance. Buyers will look to test, break above this 4,700 and add to the uptrend. Sellers, of course, will look below 4,700, look to test the 4,652 on the downside. At this point, pretty flat. If you look at the closing price over the past 4 days, sitting comfortably around that 4,680 level for now. Brent oil gapped higher, a nervous oil market gapped higher to open and start the new trading week. And that's in response, I think, to Iran's response to the US proposal. Not much progress being made there. That's why we're seeing the gap to the upside and the buyers tilted to the upside as well, notwithstanding the downtrend that we had earlier last week based on the optimism about reaching an agreement. I've got support at 102.96. I've got resistance at 106.03. That $100 mark, still the pivotal level for now, as long as things look pessimistic and investors still see the possibility of a worst case scenario. I think we'll see prices getting higher, staying above that 100, maybe even looking up at the 110 or higher. Any good news, of course, will be greeted with a sell-off, and sellers look to get back to that $100 mark or lower. Bitcoin sold off early, but buyers have stepped in at that support at the 80,455. So that 80,000 support level still standing strong. I've got resistance at 82,414. Potential double top. We'll see how that plays out through the US session. That's a bearish sign, but there is the fight back. If I zoom in on the hourly, you can see buyers have stepped in above that 80,000 level, sitting around the 81 now and looking higher if demand for Bitcoin continues through the US session. Good trading, keep that discipline, and I'll see you at the end of day.